delighted to welcome you all to the Whitman Day update. This is becoming an annual tradition for us at the Whitman School of Management that as we celebrate the legacy and the contributions of the Whitman family to the success of the Whitman School of Management, it's become a tradition that we provide a brief little update. And my name is Alex McKelvie. I'm Interim Dean of the Whitman School. I'm completing my third year as Interim Dean here. And part of our message is really that Whitman School continues its upwards ascent, that we're continuing to show continued progress across a variety of fronts. Now, one of the things that's important is to also recognize where we've come from. I was looking back through some archives recently, and I realized that the very first Whitman Day was done in 2004. It was also in April, and it was commemorating the naming gift of what has become the school. So the Whitman family continued to provide support for the naming of the new Whitman School of Management building that we've moved into, and so the Whitman, School of Management was named after them, and the Whitman family continues to be very involved in the success of the school. This is a picture of Mr. Whitman, Martin J. Whitman, who is the namesake of the school. So we're continuing to be very fortunate. And one of the things that we do, and we've already seen a lot of this today, is bring in outstanding guest speakers. So early this morning, we had the global chairman of Cushman Wakefield, Bruce Mosler, who was here with one of our fantastic alumni and trustee Hal Fettner of Fettner Properties. And they had a fireside chat that we had, over 150 people attend, discussing about the changing nature of work, artificial intelligence, what he's seeing in the real estate market, and certainly a lot of the emphasis was on New York City, which is also close to our heart and close to where Mr. Whitman worked. So we're delighted to have you here to join us for the Whitman Day update. I'll speak for a few minutes, probably 15, 20 minutes or so, giving kind of a high-level overview of some of the amazing successes from this past year, as well as a little bit of a teaser of what we're expecting to see in the next year. Then what we'll do afterwards is we'll turn it over to you to ask any questions. All you need to do is write those questions in the Q&A function that you'll see there, and I'll try to get to them as many of them as possible. So again, if you have questions, I'll get to those at the end, and please put them in there in the Q&A. So one of the things we did this year was we launched our Whitman 2030 transformation plan, and this was the outcome of many months of hard work and benchmarking, where we had over 100 faculty and staff and different stakeholders providing input into what they thought the most important things were to help Whitman in its upwards rise. And what we came up with was a very clear focus to ensure that we elevate the Whitman School of Management to be a top 25 business school. And to do that, we needed to make significant investments and improvements in a variety of areas. Those include the student experience, career outcomes, storytelling, our learning environment, so our building, research leadership and thought leadership, financial management, experiential learning, and a variety of other topics that are really salient to success in our very quickly changing higher ed landscape. And so we launched that back earlier this year, and we've had a very good return on investment so far, with some significant improvements, a lot of new initiatives, and certainly a lot of positivity and energy to support the transformation of the business school to becoming truly a top 25 school. So a lot of my highlights here are going to be aligned with the areas that we identified as being key for our success in that upwards trajectory. At the heart of what we do is student learning and success. And I will say our students have had a fantastic year in terms of the outcomes that they achieved, the quality of the experience they're getting, and especially when you think about some of the national level accolades that our students have received. So this year we had 2 undergraduate students, 2 graduating seniors, who were named as among the top 100 best and brightest students nationally. So that's a huge accomplishment, especially when you think about not only one student being there, but we have 2 identified by an external body as being among the best. Is just a tremendous a tremendous accomplishment for our students. But we also had a lot of other tangible evidences. We had a group of students who participated at Duke University in a national case competition. These were international students, or sorry, graduate students, happened to be international, who competed in areas related to energy, and they won the entire competition, beating a lot of very well-known nationally known universities. Just a few weeks ago, we also sent a group of students to Minnesota to compete in a supply chain program, a case competition. Again, beating some of the top universities in the country in the finals, including beating Purdue and Indiana and Colorado in the finals. Our students were able to, take home that victory. These are just a few of the types of things that our students are showing that they are truly among the very best students nationally. We've been talking about that for a while, but here's some tangible evidence of that. We've also really expanded a lot of our learning supporting our students. So this year we piloted a new initiative related to virtual reality. So in select courses, we introduced the virtual reality. So think of students with those masks on, those big glasses, trying to do simulations and trying to have tough conversations with individuals. So pretending they're in the managerial situation, whether it was related to critical feedback or performance improvements, those types of instruction that they're getting is truly foundational and fundamental to making those improvements, but also where we're able to introduce new technology, where we're able to do these at scale, and that technology also used artificial intelligence to provide robust feedback on things like voice tone, body language, where you're looking, and the choice of words. So as we're thinking about providing cutting edge education for the future, our work as this pilot into virtual reality was successful. We also provided a lot of work and support for our students using simulations. This is where we bring in professional actors to kind of like the virtual reality situations, but where we're able to put them in real live conversations with real humans who will react and be upset depending on what the students responded. So we were able to pilot. We're going to be doing more work in that area through our career center as well. So this year we're able to really focus on student success and putting them into situations where they know they're going to be successful. We also really tried to increase our support of students. So recently we created a new mental health and mental health support training for our students. We've done training that helps first generation students in particular, making sure that they have the support and the mentorship. So when we think about one of the key areas of success over this last year, the variety of takeaways and lessons learned for our students truly competing at national levels, and the Whitman School investing in their success and their learning is an area where we've been very proud of the progress, what we've showed. And not surprisingly, as a function of a lot of these things that we've been doing and the investments we've been making over the last few years, we broke a few records. We've seen significant improvements in our rankings, and we've also seen a lot of national level recognitions. So this slide shows just a few of those types of accolades that were received over the last year. One of the ones that I think is amazing success is that 98.7. And that 98.7 is the undergraduate placement rate for those students who are actively searching for jobs, that they receive jobs, within 6 months. And so when you think about the Whitman School of Management as a place to launch your career, the fact that almost everyone who's actively looking gets a job is huge. We also broke records on the starting salaries. So not only the placement rate, but the starting salaries. So this year we broke records for the undergraduate placement starting salary being $72,153, and then for our MBA program, breaking the six-figure barrier for the first time, where we had our average student are earning 138,000 from our MBA program. So both of these are big lifts for our placement and reflect the amazing work of our career center and employer relations team to start to achieve these. And with that, we had to increase rankings overall. This just recently, and actually in the last couple of weeks, we were ranked number 54 for our MBA program, which is our best ranking in more than 25 years. And when we think about the progress that the school has made in the last few years, where just 3-4 years ago we were ranked in the 80s, to be up to number 54 is a huge accomplishment and a reflection of the quality work done by our faculty, our admissions team, our career center, and truly the entire Whitman School. We continue to be placed on the undergraduate undergraduate top 40 by US News, and then they also by Poets and Quants. These are different rankings organizations that rely on different metrics. We tend to focus more on the Poets and Quants one, simply because it has what I view as better quantitative assessment of things we care about, like student quality, an assessment of student experience, as well as placement rate. And so again, that we have, top 40 program rankings from both these ranking bodies is huge. And a few months ago, Bloomberg Business Week, which is another highly reputable rankings organization, had us as the number one MBA program in the country in terms of return on investment among private schools. Now, what that means is that when MBA students and prospective students think about the return that they're going to get, whether it's starting salary, the opportunity cost, the total amount invested into their education, that we were able to provide that number one return. That's where the amazing placement rates, the quality of our experience really helps. So this level of national success and recognition by external bodies is certainly a point of pride where the Whitman School has excelled once again this year. We also had an amazing year in scholarly excellence. When you think about being viewed as a top business school, we wouldn't be there without the amazing faculty that we have. Much of their time, much of the investment we put into providing a cutting edge education is the research and the connectivity that our faculty have that they're able to bring into the classroom. So we had a variety of successes this year. We've had faculty win global awards for their research, for their mentoring, for their ability and thought leadership, where they've won or they've been named editors or associate editors of the top journals. We recently had a faculty member being acknowledged as a distinguished professor at Syracuse University, and there's only about a dozen of those across the entire university. So the fact that we now have one of those faculty members is a huge accomplishment. But it also reflects the quality of research and the scholarly work that many of them are doing. And some of the faculty who published in this last year in these top tier elite journals nationally and internationally have published on areas such as digitization and differentiation strategies among top firms, gender stereotypes, perfectionism in the workplace, counterfeiting in emerging markets, food waste and supply chain management, bond lending and credits, uncertainty in how that impacts savings and investments, on creative stars in the workplace and some of the challenges that they face, as well as regime changes and the impact on entrepreneurship. So when you think across those types of topics and many more that our faculty are studying, there's a great depth and breadth to the levels of expertise that our faculty are achieving in scholarly journals, which they're also bringing into the classroom to make sure that these topics are fully covered and well understood in the classes that they teach. So a lot of these scholarly outcomes are amazing sources of pride for the Whitman School over the last year. We've also deliberately invested more on engagement and connectivity. I mentioned that earlier today. We had Bruce Mosler, chairman of Cushman Wakefield here, but we've had other outstanding guest speakers. We had the CEO of PAR Technology, kind of the inventors of the point of sale system. So if you think about how you pay for food at McDonald's or at or a lot of these other places where you use your credit card and developing that technology. He spoke greatly about the changing culture and turnaround management. We also had a great conversation about AI at a global scale when we had the CIO of Coca-Cola here in the building. We've had Coach Boeheim talk about leadership and team building. Certainly Coach Boeheim from his amazing career as a basketball coach at college level, but also working with professionals at the Olympic level was really eye-opening for many of our students. We've had case competition successes. We part of engagement was and connectivity is we sent students to Baltimore for the first time this year to be part of a rail shippers organization in our supply chain group. We sent about 10 groups of students down to New York City. We sent a group of students to Silicon Valley, to Boston, to Washington, D.C. And so with this, we're really connecting with our industry partners, but also importantly, our alumni base and in many cases, parents of our groups. So some of the other new things that we've done to increase our connectivity with alumni is we've launched the Whitman Leadership Council, or the Whitman Leadership Circle, excuse me, which is kind of a new organization that recognizes some of the most generous donors with high levels of connectivity and inside information. Just last week, we launched our first ever Parents Advisory Council, connecting into parents of current students to hear what's on their minds, to making sure that we have that important audience group. I mentioned real estate, I mentioned case competitions. This year, we hosted a case competition in real estate for the first time, and part of the connectivity there was that they were working on a real estate deal for a local real estate area, just a few miles east of here in Fayetteville. We had our first ever AI-based competition for graduate students, where they worked on providing an AI strategy for an alumni-owned business, chocolate pizza company. We've done a lot of different things to making sure that we're connecting more and more with our important stakeholders, but also that our students are able to engage in different ways with a variety of people from industry. And a lot of what that does is it provides deeper understanding of what's going on in the workplace and how they can better prepare. And so, as you can tell, there's a lot of different things going on, and many of those I haven't gotten to. I wanted to give you a high level overview. But what's important to think about as we wrap up this academic year, where we're a few days away from the last day of class, is to think what's next for the Whitman School, knowing that we've launched this bold transformation plan that'll get us prepared for 2030. I want to give a little bit of a teaser of some of the things you can hear more about and expect to see for next academic year. Number one is, as we talked about before, our key priority is student outcomes and student success. And what that means is really a further investment in preparing our students for careers. That means an investment in connectivity with industry partners through our employer relations team, to making sure that we have our students prepared for the changing way that they will be expected to do jobs, whether that's through AI-based interviews, whether it's for digital interviews, so comfort with virtual reality, but also making sure that our students have enough time and support and the personal relationships with our career advisors to get ready for that type of work. And we know that looking for a job is increasingly difficult. So the more that we can prepare and invest in that support mechanism, the better our students are likely to do. We're also greatly expanding and formalizing our experiential learning programs. Experiential learning is central to our success. What helps connect industry to the classroom education. And so we're in the process of doing a significant inventory assessment of all of the different ways we're doing experiential learning across the entire Whitman School. And this includes our multiple trips to meet with industry partners, our amazing Impress program, which is clearly a differentiator for the Whitman School, to project-based learning in the classroom, to simulations, to virtual reality, and across the board. And we've already had a tremendous response to the beginning work of that inventory. And the next step is to then really map out where we're providing experiential learning, where we need to provide more, and really formalizing learning goals and objectives across the entire education of what we're doing in this. And then also tracking that to making sure that the outcomes that we expect from experiential learning are truly being met. So not just doing experiential for the sake of experiential, but making sure that we're seeing the difference in the education of our students, whether it's they're learning new things, they're developing new skills, we're reinforcing certain things. So making sure that our investments into this important area are being met. We're also going to invest further in student support, and that includes making sure that our students have access to the programs that we need. One of the things I didn't mention this year was our creation of the Opportunity Fund to provide support for students who had financial need to be able to attend and get events or New York City or whatever it is that they want to do as part of their experiential or as part of their experience at the Whitman School, that they're able to apply for and get that full Whitman experience. Making sure that we have that at a greater scale, making sure we have the mental health support, making sure that our academic advisors are able to better advise students in the classes they should take, what they still need to do to graduate, and making sure that they're on track to accomplish their mission here, which is to have an amazing experience and then graduate. We're also putting a lot of effort on AI in the classroom. Our faculty have recently voted through a new one credit class that we'll be offering to first year students on AI, and really AI in particular, but more business technology. So many of you know that we've had Excel certification as kind of a requirement for our first year students. The expectation is that we will be having AI certification for our first year students as well. So we're going to be piloting that, starting this fall. But certainly, as we're understanding how AI is changing the world, our faculty are up for the task to infuse that into their education and into the classroom with real problems and training and support to know how to get the most out of AI technology, but importantly also have the understanding of where AI can be helpful and when it needs more, whether that's on the ethical decisions, whether it's on the academic integrity part of using AI, but certainly greater infusion of artificial intelligence into the curriculum across the board. We're also in the process of rejuvenating our MBA program. I mentioned that we had some amazing accomplishments or starting salaries and rankings, but at the same time, we know that the world of business is changing, and the MBA program, and especially our online program, is ripe to adjust to a lot of the changing markets. So over this next year, we'll be putting in heavy time on making sure that we can relaunch in many ways our MBA program and our online programs as well. We're bringing in new faculty reinforcements. One of the things that's great is when we bring in amazing new talent. I know of 3 that we're already bringing in, who have expertise in marketing and in social entrepreneurship, as well as in business analytics, who are already award-winning professors and teachers, but also amazing scholars. So bringing on a new cohort of new faculty will help us achieve a lot of the goals that we're aspiring to do, but also help provide some new support for our faculty and all the great work that they're doing. We're going to be doing a lot more connectivity. We continue to push with our industry partnerships and making sure we're emphasizing the corporate relations and the employer relations side, but also having people better understand all the successes that we've had at the Whitman School. We always hear and talk internally about how great some of the things are, but we want to make sure that our external stakeholders, other business schools, employers, the general public can see and hear about our amazing faculty, the great work that our staff are doing, and really the student success stories. So we're going to be investing heavily in our storytelling over the next year as well. And we'll do continued improvement in our learning environment. So those of you who've been to campus recently have seen our completely redone Flom Grant Hall, kind of the living room of the Whitman School, with our 28-foot TV screen, the orange wall, new furniture where students can sit and work in almost like a cafe style, so they can plug in their laptops and get work done, but also have productive meetings. We're going to continue to provide investments into that space, whether it's moving offices around to make sure that the right people are in the right space, that the students have get enough room to have group conversations, modern technology, and really providing that cutting edge learning environment that you would expect for a top 25 business school. And to do this, we really need your help. I know this is Whitman Day and Whitman needs you. I mention this pretty much in all of our updates, but we'd love to have your support in what we're doing, whether it's helping on getting students jobs, finding internships, mentoring, judging in one of our many competitions or one-on-one types of mentoring, project-based learning opportunities that students can infuse into the class, or our faculty can infuse into the classroom, that can benefit your company as well. If you have connections with other top companies that would reflect a top 25 business school and the aspirational or ideal types of companies that our students would want to work for, we'd love to have that. Even helping and attracting other terrific students. We're looking ahead to the fall. We had over 8,600 applications for our undergraduate program this year for a class of 500 and change. So that puts us as the most in-demand school on campus. And this is the 5th year in a row where we've grown applications by about double digits. So it's clear that our terrific students and the program we're offering continues to gain traction. And those of you who don't necessarily want to provide student or programmatic support, but rather you want to provide financial support, As I mentioned, we're really working on accessibility. That's where scholarships come in. Dean's Fund money also really helps support a lot of the innovation and the student support that we're trying to provide to make sure that our students can get that full Whitman experience. And in some cases, providing programmatic support, making sure that your favorite major, your favorite topic gets the financial needs that they can to continue to innovate and grow and act at that top 25 type of level. So with that, I am very pleased to, thank you for your time, and with the encouragement of being Orange, being Whitman, and with appreciation for all that you're doing to support our school. There's a lot of great things that I didn't talk about today in my 20-minute overview, but you should all be very proud of the work that's taking place at the Whitman School of Management. And honestly, we couldn't be here without you. So with that, I'll stop sharing my slides. You'll get to see my delightful face. Many of you will know me from before. You have my actual office background, and so you'll see me in live. And so what I'll do is I'm going to answer questions kind of one at a time as they come in. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer, as these come in, and I'll provide transparency. So first question here is, are there AI certifications for upperclassmen? Absolutely. So this last year, actually over the summer, we pushed out Gemini certification. This is Google AI. What we did is we trained about 100 faculty and staff on that, but we also pushed it out to students. So through our WIRE program, which is open to all students, not only first-year students. If you just Google WIRE and Whitman, Whitman Industry Readiness and Excellence, that's a program we started a few years ago. You're able to apply for a variety of certifications. So the Google AI one is the one that we've been pushing. We have a partnership with Google, and so we're able to offer that. So every student is able to apply for that. We will pay for it for you. And so yes, and I know there's many graduate students, our MBA students, are very fond of that program as well. Another question, undergraduate starting salary. Do you have the median value? I don't know it off the top of my head. It tends to be around there. So I don't have this in front of me, but I looked before. It also tends to be around 72,000. So maybe a little bit off, but more or less the median and the mean tend to be close together. And what we do see is there's some variety of cross majors. Not surprising, finance majors will earn more, especially if they're going to New York City. So it's more or less 72. I could get you, if you follow up by email to me, just email me directly. I can get you that number. But it's around the 72,000 and change that we spoke about for the mean. Does a record increase in applications translate to more funding resources? Are we limited with a capacity for increased enrollment? So so the Whitman School is given an approximate number that, for budgetary purposes, and the way the university works is each school and college has an approximate number of students they're going to bring in. That helps with budget purposes. What happens with we're now in actually the next kind of 10 days or so, when students are making their minds up about where they're going right before the May 1st deadline, we'll start to see what we'll look at the yield. And then some of that changes a little bit over the summer. But what it does is we'll try to manage that number. We don't want to over enroll. That doesn't really help the student experience. One of the things we pride ourselves on is relatively small class size. The Impress House system is also conducive to being set up to have like that interpersonal feel. And so we don't necessarily want to have more students. We'd rather keep it selective, bring in the best and brightest. So more students could potentially have more resources, but we're trying to keep it at that level, give or take. And so what happens with the increased number of applicants is we get more selective. And so our projections right now, based on the students, are looking at, by far record years for, GPA, SAT, leadership, a lot of the things that we're able to track. We're already ahead of where we were expected to be, and it looks like we're going to have an amazing incoming class for the fall. But we won't really know until August. But we'll see. We'll have a better sense once we get past May 1st, which is our deposit deadline. As a graduating online student, we recently co-founded AI Social Venture, is now back International Accelerator. What will you be doing to enhance the experience of online students? Well, we're doing a lot of things already for the online students. And now with that is with the advent of Zoom, is providing, resources that are here on campus. Certainly our teams, such as through our Corey Hatchery, Blackstone Launchpad, and others will make those connections. Our online students are also available to compete in a lot of the on-campus competitions that are here. We provide a lot of these sessions with live stream and links so that they're able to do that. And certainly in the entrepreneurship space, which is your space, this is where I'd say Whitman and Syracuse University are truly standouts, where we're continually ranked in the top 15 for undergraduate program, top 20 for the graduate program, and with actually number 2 in the world globally for research productivity. So this is a space where we really have a lot of support. So hopefully, and I recognize the name of former student. Good to see you, and I'm glad to hear that things are going well for you. I don't have a question. I just want to say how proud I'm impressed with all the progress. Proud to be a Whitman alum. Thank you so much again. This is one of the ones where we have happy and successful students. They tend to go on to be happy and successful alumni who also want to pay it forward. And this is where over time, where you're as a student here, you can see and feel the support of our alumni and our corporate partners coming back to help, coming back to speak, coming back to mentor. And so a lot of the conversations I have with our alumni is because they had that experience here, they're really wanting to pay it forward to that next generation. So we're delighted to have that, and we couldn't be here without you. I guess got data confirmation when I was not mistaken when I got the question about median salary. I said it was 72,000 and change, or close to our average, and it's exactly 72,000 and zero. So I may have been off by a couple $100, but the median salary was 72,000 for our undergraduate graduating class of 2024. I have time for maybe one more question if there's one more out there. Um, and I don't see that that's coming. That's perfectly fine. Again, I thank you all for attending today. I thank you all for all that you're doing to support the Whitman School, our students, our staff, our faculty. We really are a richer community and a more successful community because of your support and all that you're doing to help move us forward. So as I started off with, today is Whitman Day. We can really appreciate all the great things that are going on within the Whitman community, the Whitman family. And so thank you very much for attending today. Have a great Whitman Day. Go Orange, go Whitman. Take care, be well.